We are going over 14b. This was all work for 14a, but we're going to look back at our original function and graph to help with 14b. So this is our original graph, and we're not, for a, we were rotating around the x-axis. Now we're going to rotate around y equals 3, which is this dotted line here. So y equals 3 is the dotted line. And so I drew, so this is 14b, this is 14a, and the biggest difference between these two is the radius here, right? So we talked about in our online class that, so I'm going to write y equals 3 there, how to find this difference. And so this from here to here is 3, right? And from here to here is f of x. And so to find this difference here, we're going to take f of x and subtract 3 from it. So we're going to get f of x minus 3. Or g of x, I guess, to stay consistent. So that's what's going to be the biggest difference here for this. So I'm just going to rewrite the equation we had. So from negative 3 to 0, it's still, the interval is still negative 3 to 0, because this line coming through here does not interfere with where our endpoints are going to be. They're still going to be the same endpoints. The only difference is our big R of x and our little r of x. That's the thing. Those are the things that are going to change here. And so big R of x, so as we established here, the farthest out curve is f of x. So big R of x is going to equal f of x minus 3. So if this line was actually above here, we'd do 3 minus f of x, or 3 minus whatever one we're trying to get to, because we have to subtract the bigger, we have to subtract the smaller from the bigger. So that's why we set it up like this, and little r of x is going to equal g of x, because it's the innermost one, minus 3. And I'm going to come back up here or over here, and we're just going to plug in our functions for r of x, big R of x and little r of x. So this is going to be 6 minus 2x minus x squared minus 3, and that's going to be squared. And then we're subtracting x plus 6 minus 3 squared and d of x. So to simplify this, negative 3 to 0 is pi 6 minus 3 is just going to be 3 minus 2 of x minus x squared. And this is going to be squared minus x plus 3 squared d of x. And we're going to do the same process that we did up here, which was quite tedious, and I will leave you guys to do that, but it's going to be the same exact process that we had in A, where we are going to factor it out like this, right? We're going to simplify it down, then we're going to integrate each individually, then we're plugging in 0. It's still going to be 0 minus when we implement negative 3. So you can just keep this negative sign and do it for negative 3. And you should figure out the answer from there. So again, the only difference between the two is that whenever you have a horizontal line, horizontal lines equal in terms of x. Everything has to be in terms of x. When we have vertical lines, everything in terms of y. So that's why for 13 and 14, we don't have to change anything in terms of y, because we're only dealing with horizontal lines. So the biggest difference is when you're doing horizontal lines, you have to account for the difference in radius. When you're doing a vertical line, we have to convert everything in terms of y. And if it's on the axis, we don't have to change anything. But if it's not on the axis, we have to account for it the same way we accounted for it in terms of a horizontal line. So let me know if you have any other questions on this stuff, and hopefully this helped.